The last of the set topics that we have is on management communication, and I don't think that's a topic I've seen covered before. In preparing, we were kind of kicking around ideas, and this kind of came up. I thought it would be an interesting one to cover, and it's partly like what they're communicating, and do you communicate about how you're adding value? Do you communicate just transactional, like here's all my activities? I know Mike kind of keeps a log, but there's, I think, something additional he does beyond that, and also then actually like tracking and reporting. I know we talked a little bit about outsourcing earlier. There are people who keep what they call battle books. So I think this is an important topic that's worth spending about 15 minutes on covering. So do we want to start with Amy again?
Sure. We report out monthly, and then we do a big quarterly group with our corporate support services does a quarterly to our management up to our EVP in our area. But we report in all of my 4 areas. We report all of our efficiencies, whether our quality. We report our time to ship from order to shipping. So it depends on what our areas are, but we report out on all of our costs per, whatever. I mean, we do thorough reporting out to everybody. We try to give them something. One of the things that I've implemented in this last year is every time we go to the quarterly management meeting where we've got everybody from corporate support services there, I try to tell them something about our group that they didn't know. They had no idea how many imprints we did. They didn't know how much mail we were sending out. They had no idea that we had the 4-color services. That it goes back to that, making them aware of what you do and finding that value. And that is really where our services part comes, those meetings come into play. And I highly encourage everybody just to find those things that they're like, oh, wow, we had no idea what you guys do over there. A lot of people didn't know we had 2 print shops. I don't know where they thought that their billing statements and the EOBs and all their checks were coming from, but they didn't know we had 2 print facilities. They had no idea how much work we do. They didn't know we have 2 shifts, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really just an awareness factor. And I love the idea of keeping a log and I do that anyway, but really making sure that we put down our wins and everything that we do every day. I think that's really important to show them visually and being able to talk about what you do for them and how much work you do.
Yep. Mike?
Similar, we do an annual report in June every year. Take it up to senior management. We're tracking clicks, we're tracking jobs, we're tracking revenue, payroll, all that stuff that's kind of low-hanging fruit, easy, everybody can report. The difference with ours is I don't only report successes, I report failures as well. Because if you're not failing in what you're doing at something, I mean, obviously we all have challenges. We print jobs wrong. I mean, we print on the wrong side of the page. We print pages backwards. We do have a spot in our annual report where I put in there problems that we've had over the last year. And, it's not easy to report that up to management on something they didn't even have any clue. But it's important that to me, that we report the good, the bad, the ugly. So workman's comp cases, different things that happen in our shop. But a lot of, obviously, we hope that the successes outweigh the failures. But I think it's important to show management that your department's human. You're faced with the same challenges that an outside company would be faced with. What impact does closing over Christmas have on your shop? So we look at that like we just closed 8 days. Well, we're a cost recovery. What happens to the salaries that I need to recover for the 8 days you just closed? And what about mail services? Our athletes are there all over Christmas. They have to stay open. So how do we handle those challenges, but not complaining about that challenge? We turn that into a positive, and how did we work that out? We had 2 employees that asked to work over Christmas, and then they take their time off at some other time during the year. Worked out really well for mail services. So we had a challenge. We put it in our annual report, and this is how we're resolving it. So it's just reporting back, whether it's monthly, quarterly, annually, keep track of that stuff. Even your list, your outsourced punch list that you're coming up with, that you're putting down each and every day in your journal, take excerpts from that. Look back at that, read that document, and put that in your annual report.
We do a monthly report. Like I say, we're a two-person department, so I do a monthly report to management for clicks, impressions, what jobs on what machines, the usual stuff. We also do a reporting in that to keep up with if there's, since we are a two-person department, if there's absences, if we're having to have volunteers, if we have more waste because we have volunteers instead of regular employees. And I also use that to track, show it to my boss, so it helps us track, when's the best times for vacations, when's the best times to be restocking warehouse shelves, when's the best times if there's marketing materials that we could do that aren't time sensitive with a date for a big event, we can be running it at this time and make things more efficient so we don't go into overtime in other parts of the year. All those things. And the web to print software that we have just got is going to help us in reporting that. And we also can report to my boss and VP and admin for that matter.
So I report monthly. Every month I sit down and we talk about accomplishments, talk about some struggles we have. We talk about utilization. We have the managers from all 3 locations on this site. We talk about year-to-date volumes. But one of the things I want to talk about, because I got feedback from another panel, and I'm sorry if you heard this before, was my meetings that I have with my department CFO. I seem to go through them a lot, and I have a new person. And you sit down with them and you go over, this is what our cost is. By keeping it in-house, we're saving. And she stops me right there. I couldn't even say the word saving. She goes, what do you mean you're saving? So I was a little taken back by that. And I'm pretty good on my feet, but she sort of shocked me. She goes, you're not saving anything. And going forward, I want you to call this cost avoidance. I said, so going forward, when you sit down and you talk about all the stuff that you do, and when you're asking for funding going forward, you can describe it as, because of these jobs we brought in-house, we had a cost avoidance of this amount that you think that we can then apply to a piece of equipment. Well, I can honestly tell you, I used it, and I know a couple people, Robbie can attest that, we've used it, and I've never gotten budget so fast after started using that again. So please take that back if you're ever asking, sit down with them and use that as, we had this job that was coming in-house. Because we brought these 50 jobs in, we had a cost avoidance of this, and I like to apply that to this technology going the following year. And I'm in the middle of an RFP right now with all the digital printing, and it's helped me a ton. I'm also going to give you a little thing that I did. I challenged, because I have people been around a long time. And you have the people who love the X, you have a lot of people who love the H, and so I did a quality study that they're not happy with me about, and if they see this, they're going to be even madder. But
Should I stop you right now?
so what I did is I sent paper samples to all the digital vendors, and I said, I want you to run, here's my files, send them back to me. But I didn't tell anybody, the marketing team, my operators, my senior managers, I didn't tell them what machine it was ran on. And then on one of them, I actually slipped a text sample in a coded spot because I thought I was going to get the reaction that I did. So they had a whole week. They all went through the samples, but every time that they got to that one sample, everybody was flipping out that there was a text stock in there instead of the cover stock. So finally, I just sent a message out. I said, I didn't ask you to decide what paper stock I was ran on. I said I asked you to focus on quality. So see, when you focus on a name of something, how your opinion of the quality could change. So no more going forward. It'll always be an honest look at the product, look at the piece, and the results were amazing. I haven't told them yet, so I'm not going to tell them on this, but honest to God, the cost avoidance piece and the quality thing are 2 things that I'll end up doing for the rest of my career. I think they're 2 things that really will help us continue to go forward, and I hope that you try it yourselves.